Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Mass Appeal. So, I said in the last video that I would talk about what BioWare would be showing of Andromeda at the EA Play event. And, well, I'm still gonna do that. But I have to admit, when I made that promise, I sort of expected there to be a little more. People are throwing around the term blueballing in regards to the trailer, and I can see where they're coming from. It's especially disappointing after BioWare's appearance at E3 2 years ago, which basically amounted to animators animating things, concept art, yep, we sure are making a game, see you later, maybe. And with the abundance of footage of animators sitting in front of computers continuing in this trailer, it's no wonder people are drawing comparisons. It can get a little frustrating. But at the same time, I'm not going to act like there's nothing here. The developers have been hinting a lot that there's a great deal hidden in this trailer, and it's very clear that there's at least some details to be gleaned, so let me just go ahead and share what I've been able to find. As a general comment, I'd like to point out that this game looks gorgeous. I know that people are generally wary of game footage and trailers after games like Watch Dogs seriously underdelivered in the graphics department compared to their trailers, but Mass Effect is pretty trustworthy in their reputation of providing quality stuff to look at. And I mean, look at it. The textures, the movement, the shading, the lighting, the environment, it's just... oh my god, I could look at this trailer forever. But anyways, back to the meat of the thing. The whole trailer seems to have a lot of focus on exploration, not just because of the narration, but because of footage of current space travel stuff like rockets and satellites that are reminders of current spaceflight and our goals related to that. Also, relating to modern-day astronomy, with how long the trailer lingers on this, I feel like there's some significance to it. But unfortunately, I don't know enough about stars and nebulas and all that to really give a definite answer, so I'll just have to rely on others. Notably, this trailer also gives us the name of what is presumably the flagship of the game, Tempest. Now this is almost certainly something important if we look back at the last trilogy and the main ship in that game, the Normandy. It's notable because of the theme of those games and what they built up to. A massive, heroic barrage of a last stand, a big do-or-die moment that turned the tides of a war, just like the invasion of Normandy in World War II. Now, calling the ship Tempest is almost assuredly a reference to Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, because really, in what other context do people use the term Tempest? Really. For those of you not familiar with the play, the basic plot is that it's about a sorcerer who's the rightful heir to the title of Duke using his magic to cook up a storm, the titular Tempest, to shipwreck the usurping Duke on an island to reveal his deviousness and restore his daughter to a rightful position. Or, at least that's what Wikipedia tells me. I've never actually read it. But, again, knowing even these basic facts could highlight a lot of important things about Mass Effect Andromeda. We know that this game takes place in a galaxy far away from the one we explored in the first trilogy, and the new game could very well be going for a theme of isolation and mystery, similar to the deserted island that is the setting of the Tempest. Maybe there could even be some treachery going on, who knows? Interestingly enough, the sorcerer's daughter in the Tempest is named Miranda, which I have no idea what that might mean, but it's definitely something worth noting. The trailer also gives us a look at some of the new enemy designs, which I really dig. The original trilogy was full of enemies that were technological in nature, from the robotic Geth to the scientifically created husks. With that in mind, it's nice to see them try something a bit more naturalistic while still keeping a very alien aesthetic. There's a monstrous quality to these creatures that I think helps add to the wild, unexplored atmosphere. The trailer also shows us Asari in Andromeda, I believe for the first time. Asari have always been the most prominently motion-captured race in the Mass Effect games, but even with that in mind, the expressiveness that's shown off in this tiny clip is really impressive and gives me a lot of hope for the immersiveness of the game. The face paint is also really interesting, considering that Asari were always the most high-class and civilized of all the races. It's possible that Andromeda might go for a sort of contrast in terms of how the race developed in two different galaxies, which would help add depth to the overall personality of the Asari. Either that, or this is some kind of unique squadmate design, but either way, I'm down for it. Speaking of this little section here, I'll note that I couldn't find any weapon in any of the Mass Effect games that even remotely resembles whatever is being pointed at her here. It would make sense for there to be a completely new assortment of weapons, considering this is a whole new galaxy who knows how many years separated from the events of the first trilogy, but it's still cool to have something concrete on that. Maybe we'll even get a whole new weapon system, who knows?
Lose yourself in it. Lose yourself in it.
The Mako's back? The Mako's back. Apparently. You know, some might say it's a dumb move, considering how people reacted to the driving portions of Mass Effect 1, but personally I didn't find it to be as unbearable as others did, and considering BioWare themselves have made fun of the Mako's controls before, I trust that they wouldn't put it back in without a lot of tweaking. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is a Krogan, but I went frame by frame and could not get a good shot to confirm it. The general body shape and bulk seem to indicate that, but you can't really get a good look at the face, so I'm not going to call it closed case just yet. Also, the armor colors are pretty neat, so there's that. This clip stands out to me because it's weirdly story related in the midst of a bunch of environmental shots and a trailer that's not really heavy on the story at all. I have no idea what the heck is going on here, but it is kinda epic and does make me curious about the context. Also, that one is definitely a Krogan, I can definitely confirm that. I guess it makes sense we're being shown mostly Krogan and Asari, considering they're by far the longest living races in the Mass Effect universe. It's very possible that this ties into the lore of the new galaxy. Then there's this last part of the trailer, which I feel like, given it's the most blatant plot-related portion of the whole thing, I should have more to say about it, but it's really pretty straightforward. Most likely what we're getting is a human crew that's been placed in cryogenic sleep pods or whatever to get to the Andromeda galaxy, and that's probably about where the game picks up. And that's it, I guess. I actually talked a lot more about that trailer than I thought I would, but at the end of the day, it still was pretty lacking. Yeah, like I said, it was really gorgeous, and there were some tiny details to appreciate, but in terms of story, or gameplay, or mechanics, or most of the stuff that makes it a video game, really, it was pretty bare bones. I'm far from the only one with this notion, and the Mass Effect corner of the internet has gotten into a bit of a tizzy over it. The way I see it, there's two possible explanations for the lack of gameplay and story content. The first is that BioWare wants to play up the surprise, as fans have been waiting for this game for a long time. Honestly, if this is the case, I wouldn't mind too much. I mean, like I said, the game seems to be going for an atmosphere of mystery and discovery, so keeping the game's content hush-hush would help add to the experience of playing it for the first time. The second, which seems to be what a lot of the more skeptical fans are going for, is that the game is way behind schedule and isn't actually that complete less than 9 months out. I wouldn't go and make this statement outright myself, but I can't help but feel like we should be getting at least a little bit of gameplay pretty soon. Honestly, a saving grace here is that the game has been delayed at all. Mass Effect 3's ending was specifically stated to have been so unsatisfying because EA rushed the game out the door, so it seems like the higher-ups have at least some sense of their progress at this point. Really, at the end of the day, this trailer doesn't change my opinion of the next game much at all, positively or negatively. What they did show off was cool, but what they didn't show off probably could have been even cooler. I mean, at least we've got N7 Day in a few months, right? Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more updates, be sure to follow @KezzupReviews on Twitter,Kezzup on Tumblr, and this channel right here by clicking the subscribe button. For now, though, this has been Mass Appeal withKezzup. Thanks for tuning in. And then at least giving us some Johnny Cash again, jeez.